let me start by saying, by getting this right off of the bat, there is somebody, or there is a team of people at Aune Audio who know exactly how to tune a hi-fi product. Because I've just received the new Aune S18 Evo DAC, and I just plugged it in a day or so ago, and I've only had a few hours to actually listen to the new DAC from Aune. But I can tell you, just in a very short period of time of listening to this new DAC, that I'm listening to something that's been created by someone who knows exactly how to tune a hi-fi product to, let's not say perfection, but somebody knows exactly what they're doing. Because believe me, this new DAC from Aune really is something pretty special, and what they've done for the price is quite remarkable. Now, I'm not going to use a load of hyperbole here or just give it a load of praise because I actually sell the product, but really this product is something quite remarkable. And the reason that I'm going to say it's a remarkable product is because it sounds, and it took me by surprise, it sounds like a turntable. Now, if you're a turntable fan or you like the sound of analog, let me tell you now, I think you're going to love the sound of this new Aune S18 Evo DAC, because I plugged it in, like I said, just yesterday, and I plugged it in, and to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to hear what I heard, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not overly fussed or taken in by new DACs. I generally feel, my feeling is that we've reached the pinnacle of DACs. We've gone as far as what we possibly can. So when someone comes along and says, oh, I've got this great new DAC and it's the best thing I've ever heard, I take it with a pinch of salt. But this DAC from Aune is quite remarkable, and it's going to be a DAC that appeals to people that love that old school sound, that old school hi-fi sound of listening to your favourite vinyl records. Now, when the CD first came out, I think the problem with CD was that people used to compare it a lot to listening to an analog record, didn't they? They would compare how an analog record would sound, and they would compare it to how a CD player sounded. And people generally, even though there's a lot of flapping around and there's a lot of aggravation when it comes to setting up a turntable, generally when you got it right, there was something magical about the sound of listening to a good quality turntable that had a good arm, a good stylus, and vinyl that was well maintained and it was clean. Like I said, when you put that needle into the groove of the record, there was something magical about listening to a top quality turntable. A CD player, no matter how good it was, it just couldn't capture the essence of listening to your favourite vinyl records, could it? And the difference to me was that the turntable and listening to analog vinyl, it always had that kind of analog holographic soundstage to it that CD couldn't quite capture. CD to me always sounded more flat, where analog always had that more richness and warmth to the sound. It had better layering to the soundstage. What do I mean exactly by better layering? Because sometimes us audiophiles and us music lovers, we use terms and expressions that we know what we mean, but there's people out there that don't exactly know what we mean by the expressions we use. And sometimes what I mean by one expression might not be exactly the same as what somebody else means when they use the same expression. But I'm going to explain to you what I mean by analog having better layering than what a CD player did. When I think of layering, I've sort of put it in 5 stages, say. So you've got the front two stages where you've got sounds that are coming out the speaker that are like right there, right in front of you, dead in front of you. And then just behind them, you've got another row of instruments that you can clearly hear. So you've got your front row that's pretty close to you, another row behind them, and then another row behind them that will be sort of the center plane. And then behind that, you would have another two range of sounds. So you'd have instruments that were behind the middle plane, and then you would have a final plane of sound, which would give you your sound stage depth. Do you follow along what I'm trying to say? So you've got 5 layers of distinct sounds that have got distinct instruments. Maybe the singer is dead bang in the middle, and you've got other instruments, guitars or whatever, that are slightly more forward, and you've got like your drum kit right at the back. So each layer has its own separate types of instruments. And you got that a lot when it came to good quality vinyl. And you didn't, I felt, get that same kind of special effect when you listened to a CD. A CD was very clean, more analytical, maybe more detail. But this general sound stage of a CD player tended to be more flat sounding. Like I say, it didn't have that engaging sound quality of a turntable. It didn't have that 3D ball of sound like a good turntable could produce. And I always felt that was the reason why people always preferred listening to analog over CD, because CD didn't have that magic engaging sound quality to it. But I've found over time, as CDs and chips have improved, that we've got closer and closer to the two formats sort of being pretty similar to each other, that CD was catching up with that engaging sound quality that we'd become used to when we listen to our favourite vinyl records. But when it comes to Aune have always had a house sound to me, and that house sound has always been that they are generally smooth and warm and engaging sounding. But this new S18 DAC, to me, it's taken it to another level further still. And like I said in the upload I made the other day, I was absolutely delighted when Aune came out with this new DAC, because it is purely a DAC. It doesn't, thank goodness, it doesn't have any headphone inputs on it at all. So like I said, it is a pure audiophile DAC. Now it's part of the S series, so basically it's been designed to fit in with Aune's other products that make up the S series range. And obviously a couple of years ago, as we all know, Aune released the very, very successful, what was it called now? The S17 Evo headphone amplifier. And that was a huge success for them. But there was one problem with that headphone amplifier, and that was that the headphone amplifier didn't have a matching DAC. So there was people that were buying the headphone amplifier and they were sort of asking the question, well, what DAC can I use with it? And Aune have answered that problem, or solved that problem perfectly, with this new S18 Evolution DAC. But like I said in my upload, I'm a person that prefers listening to loudspeakers. I much prefer listening to loudspeakers than what I do headphones. And the beauty of the S17 Evo headphone amplifier was not only that it was an outstanding headphone amplifier. What a lot of people probably didn't realise is that it also made an exceptionally good preamplifier. So you can use the preamplifier in the S17 and match that now to the DAC S18 Evo from Aune. So they've now came with a solution for headphone listeners and traditional hi-fi loudspeaker listeners. Now, another thing I would like to bring out about the S17 DAC and buyers in general, there seems to be people that only will buy a DAC if it's got the latest chips in it. And I've never really fully understood why people will only buy things if it's got the top of the range and it must be the latest and greatest DAC chip in this new DAC. Now, I imagine Aune would agree with me is that it doesn't really matter, because Aune, if you follow Aune enough, you will realise that Aune don't always stick to the same DAC chip, and they don't always stick to the same manufacturer, because sometimes in an Aune product you will find a ESS Sabri DAC chip, and yet again in other Aune products you will find AKM DAC chips. Now, the DAC that was before the S18, well, there's so many numbers now I've got to remember, so I might get a little bit confused again here in my numbers, but the DAC that was before the S18 was called the S8, and that had a Sabri chip in it. So Aune obviously feel that they can use whichever chip they want to use in their products, and they will tune their products around that chip. They don't always stick with ESS Sabri, and they don't always stick with AKM. And with the new S18 DAC, they've gone for AK4497. But like I said, I'm not an engineer, but I can tell you, whoever tuned and designed this product knew exactly what chips to use, what other components to use. It's like a pizza. A pizza isn't made up of just one ingredient, is it? A pizza's made up with many, many different types of ingredients, and the end result, hopefully, is a beautiful tasting pizza due to all those different ingredients that have been put in that pizza. And this is exactly the case of the Aune S18 Evo DAC. The ingredients, not just that one chip, but the whole ingredients have made one extremely special sounding DAC. Is it the best DAC ever created? I don't know, but I'm telling you my opinion of this DAC. What it does do is it sounds like a turntable. It sounds like you're listening to a top quality analog turntable without all the faff of messing around with a turntable, with your stylus getting dirty, with keeping your vinyl clean. You can just connect it to your computer, you can connect it to your NAS, you can connect it to your local network, whatever you choose to connect it to. You are listening to a DAC that mimics a very top quality sounding turntable. As I was saying before, it is so realistic sounding. It's got none of that digital hardness or harshness to the sound. It's buttery smooth. It's like a little brand new baby's bottom, all smooth and tender. It's such a smooth, silky sounding DAC. Like I said, I just plugged it in and I sat down on my chair and looking at my phone, expecting to hear just another DAC. And I sat there in my chair and I looked up and I thought, hang on a minute. It doesn't sound like a digital product in the slightest. I really, honestly thought I was listening to a turntable. The treble is so deliciously smooth. Like I said, there's no brightness or harshness to the sound at all. And the sound stage is just so big. It is a leap up over the extremely popular and extremely successful and well reviewed S9. It's a leap up in sound stage. You will notice that the sound stage is much larger on the S18 than what it is over the S9. And like I said, the S9 is also a fantastic, smooth and warm, rich sounding product. But this S18 seems to take it to sort of a slightly higher level. Now, I'm not, like I said, going to use a load of hyperbole here and go completely over the top. But to me, the sound stage sounds larger. And you've got that, like I was saying before, you've got that layering. The layering on this S18 is ridiculously good. Ridiculously. You can tell what instruments are closest to you, and you can tell by the soundstage depth how far back that soundstage goes. And the voices are just so realistic. It really does sound like you've got that singer singing, giving your own personal concert right there in front of you. It is a lovely listening experience. But the real beauty of it is that what amazed me, when Aune said they've got a new DAC, I was kind of expecting it to be much more expensive than what it is, because we know the Chinese market and the Chinese manufacturers, they seem to have, well, they started off quite cheap, didn't they, Chinese products? But we've noticed they're getting more and more and more expensive. And now we're sort of getting Chinese DACs that are sort of hitting £2,000, £2,500, £3,000. So we can see that they are producing more high-end products. And I thought Aune were going to go down the same road, and this S18 was going to be over £1,000, sort of more 1,500, that kind of price range. But the thing is, it's cheaper than the old S8, and I was quite taken aback that they've made it cheaper. There is one thing missing on the back of the new S18, which the old S8 had, and that's an I2 squared input. This one doesn't have this, unfortunately. But apart from that, it looks the same, the build quality is the same, but you're getting a product that's, I think, about 100, 150, maybe £200 cheaper than the old S8, and you've got a beautiful sounding DAC that you can use in a very high-end system. Like I said, I've got it connected up to the Minunta stereo integrated amplifier, retailing about 4,600-ish, and I've got it connected to a £7,000 pair of loudspeakers, and it's not put to shame at all. It can easily be used in a system of that calibre. It is a remarkable sounding DAC. Like I said, there's lots and lots of good sounding DACs out there. It's not something that I tell customers, it's not something to lose sleep over. You don't need the latest DAC. You don't need the latest DAC with the latest top of the range chips in them. Don't always go by the specification that's found in a DAC. You can use a lower grade chip, tune it properly, and it still sounds just as good. And that's what you've got with the Aune S18 Evo DAC, a remarkable sounding DAC that is extremely affordable. It sounds like you're listening to a top turntable, and you can just sit there, kick back, put on your favourite music, stream your favourite music. It's got Bluetooth, you can do whatever you want with it, and you're going to be in musical heaven. So well done, Aune. Yet again, you've given us another fantastic, highly affordable product. And like I said, there is somebody at Aune who knows exactly how to tune a hi-fi product to perfection. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed that. All you've got to do now is go out and get one. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.